Good morning, everybody. Lately, I have noticed the, I guess, overabundance of tattoos on people, especially women, men for sure. And it seems to be all over the place. So maybe I'm just noticing it more. In my mind, there's nothing sillier than a 75-year-old woman with an old tattoo that they may have gotten when they were younger. And as the warmer weather comes and people are wearing less and less, you see tattoos all over the place. In the gym, or people wear less clothing to begin with. Again, men and women. Everybody's got a tattoo. So I wanted to discuss this form of body art, although it isn't always art, from a Torah perspective. Clearly, the Torah forbids us from getting tattoos. It's very, very clear. It's a very specific prohibition, and it relates to idolatry. Because apparently in the ancient world, part of religious worship involved skin piercings and tattoos. And the tattoos were of a religious nature. Pictures of the deities, symbols of religious worship. And even today, aside from many different types of tattoos people have, a lot of it is religious in nature. Whether it's crosses, whether it's saints, or whatever it might be.
It's also ugly.
What's that?
It's ugly.
It's, well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Some people actually think it's attractive. Depends where in your body it is and what the image is. Some tattoos are meant for everybody to see. Some tattoos are supposed to be private. Among the prohibitions, there's a basic concept. Aside from not doing anything related to idolatry, which is the original intent of the prohibition, it's also mutilating one's body to a certain extent. God gave you a body, and this is a fundamental principle in Judaism. God gave you a body to take care of, which means it's probably biblically mandated to eat healthy, to exercise, to keep your body in good shape, because God loaned you a body, and you have to take care of it. And you can't deface that body. You can't mutilate that body. And it's a pretty serious prohibition. Obviously, we're not talking about people such as in the Holocaust that were tattooed against their will. That's certainly not an issue here. Also, interestingly enough, halachically, a woman who, for whatever reason, has a tattoo, it's not considered a chatzitza. It's not considered an impediment to going to mikveh. Interesting. It doesn't disqualify her tevilah. What's that? Well, it doesn't, I mean, you know, you could argue technically that the ink is a barrier between the water and your skin, but the ink is subdermal. So, but again, it's important to mention it. Henna. Okay, we'll get to henna in a moment, because henna, well, I'll mention that. Henna dyeing, Yemenite custom and other cultures, when they put these red dye tattoos on the bride, those are temporary. They fade away after a while. So tattooing is only prohibited when it's permanent. Yeah.
I know a friend of mine, goes back years, thank God she's still with us, was very concerned because when you have radiation, they have to tattoo the specific spot.
Right.
And she was very, and that's not going to come off. Thank God she didn't need to use it again, but she was concerned about that. Even though it's very small,
All right.
it's still a tattoo.
So again, the poskim discussed that. And those type of tattoos, whether it's the tattoos that people received during the Holocaust, whether it's tattoos that are medically necessary in terms of the healing process, those are not considered prohibited types of tattoos, which were put on a person's skin for avodah zarah, or other reasons that were not necessarily legitimate. But here, for a medical reason, there's also another category. What about a tattoo or something to hide a disfigurement? Sometimes people are unfortunately born with facial disfigurement or other disfigurements on their body, and sometimes a tattoo, not necessarily a decorative tattoo, but a tattoo of some type of, I don't know, related to a medical procedure. Again, in the same category as something that would be permissible. There are some who don't like temporary tattoos, but biblical tattooing is only something that is permanent. And again, there are different ways to make a tattoo. It's not important to go into details, but basically you are scratching an indentation in the skin below the surface, which is filled with a permanent ink. And the key is the permanent ink part. And that's a tattoo, which is biblically prohibited. If there are some temporary markings for some that are absolutely necessary, again, if it's temporary, most rabbis would say that it's permissible. There was I got many situations like this, but sometimes in an emergency, when you don't have a piece of paper around, you want to write something on your hand. And if there's a pressing need to do that, it's permissible. It's not considered a permanent tattoo. You can wash it off. But sometimes people will jot a phone number down on their hand, or a doctor will sometimes write something on his hand, doesn't have anything nearby for a medical reason. But again, it's the permanent nature is what is prohibited. One of the more interesting questions that comes up: what happens if a person becomes a Baal Tshuva and he has tattoos from his former life or her former life? Are you obligated to remove those tattoos? And the answer is no. If you want to, there's a painful surgery involved, and you can do it, but you're not obligated to do so. Rav Hanoch Teller tells an interesting story related to that, about the young man who was a member of a motorcycle club who became a Baal Tshuva. And he had some rather large tattoos. And most of the time it didn't bother him because he was wearing his long sleeve shirt or coat or what have you. But comes along Yom Kippur, he has to go to mikveh, and he feels very self-conscious about his tattoos in the mikveh. And until an old man comes over to him and shows him his numbers, says, "See, I have a tattoo also." So it made him feel a little bit better. But clearly, this is a concern, and this is a question that is raised again among Balei Tshuva. Another factor that enters into the tattooing, aside from the fact that it's prohibited biblically, aside from the fact that it's related to avodah zarah, you also have another broader category known as chukos hagoyim. This is not a Jewish practice. This is what goyim do. And from that, Rabbi Moshe and others are saying that even though there's no avodah zarah today anymore necessarily, the chukas hagoyim aspect still remains in effect, and that's why tattooing is not considered a Jewish practice. We mentioned henna being that it's not permanent. if you, a question is, if you remove a tattoo, does that fit into the category of chovel, of harming one's body? You know, it's a painful process. And clearly, it's not something we encourage people to do. We don't encourage people to undergo painful procedures unless it's absolutely necessary. And in this case, it would not be considered absolutely necessary. The difference between a rabbinic prohibition and a biblical prohibition, because there's no avodah zarah anymore today, it's still a very strong prohibition for Jews not to get tattoos. Henna, as I say, is temporary. It's only forbidden when it's done in subdermal, non-erasable ink, which is the definition of a tattoo. There's no issue of maras ayin for a person who's about tshuva and still has a tattoo, because people understand that it is what it is. Certainly non-permanent tattoos. If you go to an amusement park, or if you go to some type of a venue and they put kind of stamp on your hand to get in, and it remains there for a couple of days. Again, it's temporary. It's not subdermal. In some cases, it's only visible under an ultraviolet light. But these are things that are not prohibited because of the temporary nature. And again, double prohibition: the chukas hagoyim aspect and the avodah zarah aspect were the original prohibitions. What about putting on a pigmented ointment on a wound? It will temporarily discolor the skin. Again, it's temporary, and even though it's a colored, I wouldn't call it a tattoo, but it would certainly not be prohibited. Non-idolatrous tattoos are still prohibited. It may not be a doraisa level, but it's certainly prohibited midrabanan, and the Shulchan Aruch seems to be pretty clear about that. But the prevalence of tattoos in today's society is simply astounding. Everywhere you go, and some of these tattoos are not even attractive. I don't think, but as I said, there is nothing that looks as silly as an older woman with a tattoo that she may have gotten when she was 18 or something. The whole notion of Jewish worship versus non-Jewish worship in the chukos hagoyim aspect is very, very important. But it's not just tattooing; it's many other things that we might do. If you look at contemporary tattoos today, aside from John Loves Mary type of thing, you do have many tattoos with a religious theme. Some people don't like wearing a cross around their neck, so they'll tattoo it on their body or on their arm. For some reason, and I don't know why exactly, tattooing became very, very popular during World War II and in the Korean War. I don't know why. Soldiers and sailors overseas, whether they got drunk or not, they got tattoos. And I remember, I mean, it wasn't a big tattoo like you see people have today. And I see guys in the gym, their entire body is full of tattoos. I don't understand that at all. Their arms, their legs, their backs, their chests, up and down their neck. And they think it's attractive for some reason. But in the Army or the Navy, people will get on their arm a tattoo of some sort, whether, John Loves Mary type of tattoo or a tattoo about their military unit. That became a thing during the war.
Like
Girls, yeah.
because they were going away from their.
Yeah, okay. And then he has, a heart with the girl's name on it, and then a cross through it when he goes to a different girl, and a few other cross, because once you put it on, it's permanent. It's permanent. Again, the question of removing tattoos once it's there is a very common question, especially among Balei Tshuva. They may want to remove it. You're not obliged to because you have the halach of chavala. You're not allowed to damage your body, hurt yourself willingly. And going through a difficult or painful procedure to cover a tattoo is a difficult procedure. It's painful. So you're not obligated if you want to do it, but then you're left with a terrible scar. Now, it all depends where the tattoo is. If it's a visible tattoo on an arm, or on the upper neck, or on a leg, and it becomes visible, you may want to cover it if the person becomes a Baal Tshuva, but it isn't mandatory. But then you're left with a scar. So I don't know what's worse, the makkah or the refuah. Yeah.
I remember going to the rabbi many years ago about people that wanted to something in their face, for instance, like a nose job or something.
Yeah.
So what he basically said was that for a woman, it is permissible because that might make a difference in the shidduch.
Correct. That's what Moshe's psak. Yeah.
What it was, no. I mean, if you say you have you accept them, you have to have the nose done because of that. That's a medical.
Yeah, cosmetic. So the question is divided in many parts. Cosmetic surgery for a woman who is dating, Rabbi Moshe says, is permissible. Cosmetic surgery for a woman who's already a grandmother is questionable, perhaps. For a man, it would not be allowed because that's considered a feminine trait to do cosmetic surgery. One halakhic shiur that comes up, it's a fascinating shiur that perhaps the women can help me with this. There is something known as permanent makeup, which the whole face apparently. So it especially comes up for a lot of women who don't put on makeup on Shabbos, because putting on makeup on Shabbos involves a number of issues. So in order not to be involved in putting on makeup on Shabbos, they have this permanent makeup put on in their face somehow, which their face is permanently made up. I don't know if that qualifies as a tattoo or not. I'm not that familiar with the process, and I don't know if permanent makeup is considered a tattoo or not. Does somebody knows how that works? I don't know how. All right, but there are some women who like it because it solves the problem of makeup on Shabbos. You avoid the whole issue. Your face is always made up. I don't know. But in any event, I just wanted to raise that topic because I'm still astounded by the multitude of tattoos on all kinds of people. Yeah.
It's interesting, in Israel today, you see more tattoos than you did years ago. And it used to be that if you're Jewish, you just do it, but now, from or not from, whatever. But now it seems that it's all part of society, even.
So I don't know if that's a good thing that you see more tattoos in Israel. It just means that they're imitating the non-Jewish world in which they find themselves. Again, standards of beauty vary from century to century and from time to time. Clothing changes. What one generation might think is attractive, another generation would say, this is way out of style. The same thing would be for, people consider tattoos a very hip thing to have. Other segments of society would say it's disgusting. But,
Wally,
yes.
if a Kohen had a tattoo, would he be allowed to do it?
Yeah. If a Kohen has a tattoo, can he duchen? Technically, yes. Technically, yes.
Suppose it's visible.
Is it recommended? I mean, I would hope that if a guy has a tattoo he would walk out during Berachas Kohanim perhaps, and solve that problem.
Isn't
But
it Malbina Pnei Chavercha, because if someone knows he's a Kohen and he's constantly walking out whenever there's something and someone says, hey, what's up?
you know, it's an interesting question, but there are Kohanim who, for a variety of reasons, don't want to do it. There might be a Kohen, for example, if you have a Kohen, for example, who was convicted of a crime, he may not want to do it. He's obligated to. I remember I was in a shul once with a certain rabbi, and he was very firm. He says every Kohen has to duchen. The only Kohen that cannot duchen is someone who's a murderer. Other than that, if you're a Kohen, you duchen.
Violate the halachas specifically related to Kohen. He makes a point of going to the cemetery or something like that. That can
Right.
be Shabbos Rabbis and not.
Right.
But if he specifically violates it about Kohen, then I think.
Yeah, again, a Kohen is a Kohen with a tattoo. If the tattoo is covered, it's less of an issue. If the tattoo is, technically, there's nothing to bar the Kohen from doing it, from duchening. How appropriate it might be is another story. Yeah. Yeah. These
That's an example.
a Kohen who demarries, there are. They might be puzzled for the avoda, but again, a Kohen to Machal Shabbos. If you're a Kohen, your role is to bless the people. But the tattoo issue is becoming very, as Pete mentioned, it's becoming, even in Israel, much more prevalent. And again, just to review and to summarize, there are two issues there. One, of course, is related to Avodah Zarah, but more significantly is the issue of Chukas HaGoyim, of imitating the non-Jewish world in which we live. And in this particular area, aside from the original Avodah Zarah connection, you are defacing the human body. Our bodies are on loan from Hashem. Hashem gave us a body to take care of. And we have to take care of that body. And it doesn't just mean exercising and eating healthy and not doing stupid things to injure yourself, but it also means not defacing that body with tattoos. So I just wanted to raise that because I lately, everywhere I go, that's what I see. Tattoos everywhere, men, women, old, every race, I don't get it. I just don't get it, but it's prevalent, it's out there, and as Yidden, we have to be careful not to fall prey to that same cultural phenomenon that seems to be very common throughout the world. Any questions?
Is there any punishment?
Is there a punishment? Yeah. I mean, when we have the capacity to punish people who violate halachos, absolutely. It's a biblical violation, and at the very least, you would get makos. At the very least, probably more. But clearly, it's a violation, and hey, Rav Yameinu, when we have a Sanhedrin again, people will get punished. It'll be probably very long lines, I guess. Okay, we have a Zimun? Okay. Have a great day, everybody. Rabbi Sainu Varech. Yishen L'Rok Betov Yad Olam, Yeshus Kol Mesumin Kan, D'Varech Shechal Mishalo, Baruch Shechal Mishalo, T'vo Chayinu, D'Rochaton, D'Melech L'Amazones, Ha'olam Kulov, T'vo Kilam Chasto, Uf T'vo HaGadol, Tomi L'Cham Shma Gadol, כי הוא אל זון ופנס לכל מטיב לכל מחיב מזון וכל בדיוסו ואשר ברוב ברוכתו אדוני הזון אס הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני על הארץ ועל המזון. ובני ירושלים עיר הקודש מהרה ביומנו ברוך אתה אדוני בני ברחמו ירושלים אמן.
Can you think of anything that was prohibited because of a Sarah?
I don't know. Can't tell you.
Yeah, one is the 5 pound a 99 cents. I don't know. The 4 pound. I don't need more than 4. I didn't.
One issue.
Which are there at the end.
Yeah.